Yo, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Gunner Fan TV. Welcome back to another live video. We had to come live today. We had to get on live stream today to talk about Arsenal and yesterday's defeat against Spurs, bro. Listen, everybody who's an Arsenal fan right now must be feeling positive and confident in this Arsenal team the way we performed yesterday. I'm yet to see an Arsenal fan, even the dude Yardman yesterday on AFTV, like he's typically negative, right? And he never tends to get overly excited. But yesterday he was actually being more positive than Robbie in a sense, you know what I'm saying? And that was kind of hilarious a little bit because he's always negative and talking about, we haven't won anything yet. But even him yesterday, he was looking at the bright side. The performance yesterday, not just by Eze, but if we're going to talk about the entire team, the team on a whole, right? I think Arsenal, we did pretty well yesterday. I mean, I might be kind of downplaying it a little bit because we did play well. I mean, 4-1 in a North London derby. I mean, I've seen many of these derbies, man, and they're always intense. All right, this is probably one of the worst ones I've seen in terms of Spurs performance, right? So, I mean, give credit to not just the team, but also to Mikel for executing this in a way that we had some concerns because we had players out. But let me tell you, man, he actually did step up and he did execute this in a manner where all Arsenal fans are probably pleased today. You can walk around with your chest high that we actually put Spurs to the sword. Great performance overall by everyone included in the setup yesterday, man. Even though we were without Gabriel and we were without Victor Gyökeres, the players did step up. Mikel Merino, um, I mean, I always had a problem with Mikel Merino, man. He just tends to just fall. He falls down a lot, bro. I just don't like it, man. He just keeps falling every time he gets knocked. Every time he gets a touch or, um, a tackle comes in, he just falls and he rolls around. That's not my kind of game, bro. You're acting like you're Neymar, bro. He's not Neymar. You know what I'm saying? Um, Neymar could do that because Neymar has the skills and he, you know what I'm saying? He has the credibility to do that, bro. So, um, I just keep I don't know. I just don't like seeing it. But the first goal was credit to him. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give credit where credit is due. It was a beautiful pass. I thought he was messy for a minute there, just set it up and he just chipped it over. And good first control by Trossard. It kind of got him to twist his body a little bit. But still, man, to get that ball under control, wonderful skill by Trossard, wonderful technique. And then the finish was something else. You know what I'm saying? Um, he's probably been our most consistent player this season, Leandro Trossard. And we were talking about getting rid of this guy. It's crazy to think that, right? We were actually talking about selling this guy in the summer transfer window, and he seems to be our most consistent player as of right now. So it just shows you how funny football is. One day you could be the villain, and the next day you're the hero, right? So we can't really write these players off. We just have to give them time in a really good team because we have a really good team, a really good setup, right? And if every player plays their part, we have a good chance of winning this league. I'm not gonna sit here and say we're gonna win the league. It's still early, people. It's still early. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say, yeah, we're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league. We still have a lot to do. We have a lot more games left. Um, the competition is gonna get better. You know what I'm saying? In terms of teams, teams are gonna kind of get seasoned into the league, into their playing style, kind of, fine tuning their tactics. So it's not gonna get easier throughout the season. It's probably gonna get harder. You're gonna have more injuries and stuff like that. So we just gotta stay grounded and um just be cognizant of the fact that it's still early, right? It's only 12 weeks in, right? So let's not get carried away. But on the performance yesterday, man, the man of the moment, bro, Eberici Eze. Just to think a couple months ago that he was going to Spurs. You know what I'm saying? And this makes the story even more worth telling, bro. You know what I'm saying? It makes the story even more exciting. The fact that this player was on his way to Spurs, and then in the last minute, you know what I'm saying, he was an Arsenal child, Arsenal kid, bro. His his childhood team is Arsenal, and he used to play for Arsenal. As every fan knows this. I'm not saying anything that's new. You know, what I'm saying he was cut, and it was just the story of him coming back and the whole setup, the way it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful, well televised. Got interviewed by Ian Wright. I saw another interview the other day by Idris Elba. So this is something that everyone could relate to. You know what I'm saying? Just pretty much your dream coming true. You know, and to see him come out there yesterday, bro, and just he gave us the performance of his life, bro. I'm telling you, everybody, bro, standing ovation. At the end, three goals. You know what I'm saying? I was looking forward for him like to score. I really wanted him to score, but to see him put away three goals, and to be fair, bro, he probably could have scored more. You know what I'm saying? He had a really I want to say probably was an easier chance, the one that he didn't miss it, but the keeper saved it. And you could see how annoyed he was with himself when the keeper saved it, because I think with it himself, that was on his stronger right foot. You know what I'm saying? And the keeper actually made the save. And I think within himself, he thought that he should have scored that. You know what I'm saying? But he could have scored more. We could have scored more. But he was exceptional yesterday, man. Like his performance was the best I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt, if I'm going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? First pass to Declan Rice, where Dex should have definitely scored that goal. That was all him. You know what I'm saying? Very inventive pass. Scooped it over the defense, and Declan Rice hit it first time. Felt like he should have hit it to either side. Probably would have had a better chance, but nonetheless, that was a chance created. We're seeing more of this from Eze, and that's what we want to see. We want to see these kind of performances, and it takes time, bro. A lot of people are talking about, they're under. I mean, yeah, we are underwhelmed. We were underwhelmed. Let me not play it down. You know what I'm saying? And as fans, sometimes we get carried away, with the moment. We want to see players just hit the ground running, but that's not how football is. That's not how life is. When you go into a job, any job for the first time in a new environment, you're not just going to hit the ground running. It's going to take some time for you to kind of understand how the system works, for you to kind of gel, you know what I'm saying, in an office environment, on a construction site, whatever the job is. That's how it all comes together. It doesn't come together all at once. It comes together slowly. There's a lot of different outside influences when it comes to that. So, he has to understand the structure of the team, the club, the players. Everything is different for him now. You know what I'm saying? And we as fans, we don't really look into the intricacies of a player transitioning into a new club. We just expect him to just, you know, day one, we need to see the way he used to play at his old club. You know what I'm saying? But it's never like that. You know what I'm saying? It's never like that. Oh, I'm getting a call here. Oops, from Jersey. Excuse me, everybody. Let me take this call real quick. Oh, yeah. So, whatever the supplementary payment was, they sent it out. So I sent it to the technician to verify that it's going to be requested. So I'm not sure if I'm sorry, say it again. Oh yeah, all right. Sorry about that, everybody. My car is in the shop, and they just called me just now to verify that I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow. So just had to take that call really quick. Um, but yeah, so it takes time for players, just to adjust, man, to understand the environment that they're in, and we as fans, we don't give them any time. You know what I'm saying? We don't we're not patient, you know what I'm saying? Fans just want to see results. Um, but if we're gonna be real, most of these players, let's look at Isaac, man. Look at Isaac in Liverpool. He's struggling, and what's worse for him, he didn't have a preseason, you know what I'm saying? And that's at his detriment right now. Players need some time. I know Eze didn't really train, or his preseason wasn't with Arsenal. His preseason was with Newcastle. But the fact is, he still had a preseason, and that does help, your build up to the season, and Isaac, for whatever reason, didn't do that. Wissa, same thing too for Wissa. I know he has some injuries going on at Newcastle, but you could see the result. You know what I'm saying? You could see the effect of that. But for Eze, man, he just needed time. He's a quality player. He's settling into Arsenal and also in the England squad. He's playing well for England, right? Tuchel kind of turns to him every time. Like, he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet, right? As the number 10. You know what I'm saying? So, we look forward to more of this from Eze, and not just Eze, but Arsenal, man. You know, I can't express how much we were waiting for this season. Like, this is the season where I felt like most fans were saying either Mikel is going to stay or he's going to go, right? Like, he has to win a major, and that's always the conversation. That's always a conversation. Is he going to be able to win us a major? We've got FA Cups. I mean, yeah, we've won the Prem before, but we haven't won it in a while, right? So these are the conversations that fans are having. They're concerned with the fact that we haven't won the Premiership in over 20 something years. We haven't won the Champions League. So no one's really, some fans, I mean, not say no fan, because I can't speak for everybody. But for me, like, I've seen, you know, the minor cups, if you want to call it that. I've seen the FA Cups, you know what I'm saying? I've seen the Premier, I've seen the Prem before. Don't get me wrong, the Invincibles and all of that. But it's been so long, I don't even remember. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting old. My memory is bad, bro. I can't remember that. But, within this fan base, young and old, we need to see something. Like, we need to be refreshed. It's been so long that we don't even remember. So this is the season. I think this is the season everybody was looking forward to, because the transfer window was set up from last season, because last season Timber, sorry, not Timber, um, Calafiori. It was, oh yeah, it was, yeah, Calafiori. It was Calafiori, and Marino. Uh, we got last summer, and it was very underwhelming, right? And we didn't do too bad. If we're going to be honest, we were still chasing Liverpool, but I think where we lost, we lost. I'm saying lost the league, but the chase. I want to say we gave up on the chase in January, when we didn't buy anybody in January, and that was the big issue. If we had gone out and we had made quality quality purchases in January, we would probably have had a better chance of chasing Liverpool, and possibly would have won the league, because City was kind of out of it, right? So it was just us chasing Liverpool at the time. So it was set up for this season, because everyone, was saying, hey, if they didn't do any big, acquisition last season, it has to be this season, right? And they kept talking about this war chest and all that stuff. So, it was kind of expected, and people were looking forward to it. And we kind of started off right, because once we got Andrea Berta in, people were expecting things to happen, based on his track record. and he didn't disappoint. Fast forward to where we are right now. Like, these players that we have are quality players, bro. Most of them for their national team. You know what I'm saying? And just quality within the leagues that they're coming from. So it's set up for us to win. Teams aren't performing at optimal level. At the standards that they used to perform. I wasn't worried about Liverpool, and I keep saying this on this channel. Like, Liverpool was never my worry. It's always been Manchester City. And again, I'm seeing Manchester City fall off. So there's no excuse for us now. We have a 7-point lead um, from Man City. We have a 7-point lead ahead of Man City and only 6 from Chelsea, which is surprising. It's surprising the hell out of me how Chelsea is second, bro. They're just quietly doing their business. So we have to be mindful of that, and we just have to put them away for the next game. You know, it's a concern, but I'm not worried about Chelsea. I feel like we have the vast superiority. Like, we're way superior than Chelsea in terms of quality and experience right now, right? They're kind of feel like all over the place in terms of their acquisitions. They're getting new players in every season. They don't really have a core. They have players who are out too. Cole Palmer, who's on their main player, and Reece James. They're always getting knocks and always getting injured, and they're not really available. So the core of their team is not stable. So I feel like our team, we have the advantage. We have the advantage going into that game. We have the confidence, we have the experience, and we're playing better. We're just an overall better team, and we should be able to smash Chelsea. So I don't want to hear any talk about, you know, us going in there and just, not being able to beat Chelsea next week and bottling everything. If we lose against them, and you always have to talk about losing. Even though it's negative, you don't want to really focus on that. But if we lose against them, it's 3 points. It's right then and there. Now it's 3 points. Suddenly it's just, hey, they're right next to us. City's back into it again. We're letting them back into the title race. So we have to put them away. Extend that lead. Keep it at 7 with City. I do expect that City will get it together for the next game. Um, and we just have to keep it at 7. Once we beat Liverpool, once we talk about Liverpool, bro, they're a shambles right now. Liverpool is a shambles right now, bro. It's unbelievable to see what's going on with Liverpool, but that's another discussion. I just want to kind of focus on Arsenal right now and you know, just kind of bask in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Because as fans, this is what we expect. This is the quality we expect as fans, right? Nothing less than this. Nothing less than this. Um, we're a big club, and yesterday proves that. It was a derby yesterday, you know, and we showed them why we are the best in London. And that's, people argue that, who's the best in London because Chelsea's won probably more titles than us and whatever. But when it comes to international recognition, everybody knows Arsenal, bro. You have Arsenal fans in every country. There are way more Arsenal fans than Chelsea fans, Tottenham fans, all of that. There's no London club that's bigger than Arsenal across the globe. You know, so we need to act as such. We need to stop saying that we're a big club, and we need to show everyone that we're a big club by winning trophies. You know, we spend a lot of money. We have quality players now. You know, Gone are the days when we used to struggle to get players. Players now want to play for Arsenal. Look at Eze, for example, right? He was he actually asked to come to Arsenal if the stories are correct. They said he called Mikel, and he asked, "Hey, you sure you don't want me to come?" You know what I'm saying? And the rest is history. A hat trick yesterday. What are we talking about, man? What I'm saying? We have quality, so we just need to go ahead and win. Next games coming up, we have Bayern Munich in the Champions League. That's another big game. And if we're going to be serious contenders across all fronts, we need to take every game serious, right? We need to not just sit back and prioritize things. Every game should be the priority, right? Because we have to win. not just the Premier League, but we have to make an attempt to win the Champions League too. All right. So, for this game, eh, unfortunately, we can't make, any excuses and injuries and all that stuff. No, we just have to put the best team out there, because we can rotate and still be strong. And that's the beauty of this team this season. We could do hella rotations and still have a strong setup. Right. So let's just not play ourselves here. Let's just get it done. We have Bayern Munich. I'm not tracking any player injuries. Let's just take a quick look here and you know see what's going on. Um, yeah, man, the moment is for Eze, bro. Everybody's ripping that number 10 everywhere on social media. You're seeing, Eberici Eze. It's all about him today, bro. He's a man of faith, man. And he believes that this was going to happen. He said he prayed for the hat trick, bro. And I believe him. You know what I'm saying? Most of these players now, bro, see a picture here with Nkapie, praying before the game. A lot of these players now, man, they're entrenched in faith. And I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that. You know, a lot of these players are devoting their lives to the creator. A lot of people, they get itchy when you talk about religion. I don't know why. Religion should not be um shouldn't cause conflict, man. It should unite. So yeah. But all around social media now, bro, it's about Eze. It's about Arsenal. Everyone's saying Arsenal should win the league. Yeah. So there's no excuse, bro. There's no excuse. Um, so the performance yesterday, if I'm gonna be honest, right? The defense was solid. Defense is never my issue this season, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans will agree that our defense was never the problem for us. Once we have Saliba or Gabriel fit, let's be honest, either or. I mean, when Kivier stepped in, um, the defense wasn't the issue. The defense wasn't the issue last season when we failed to win against when we got knocked out of the Champions League, right? Uh, by PSG, and they went on to win. It wasn't a defensive issue. It was us not scoring goals, right? People said lack of having a striker. We needed a striker, and that's the reason why we weren't able to put away chances or create chances. So yesterday wasn't any different, right? We weren't lacking in defense. We conceded the least amount of goals all season. So that says a lot for our defensive structure. Even though Gabriel wasn't present yesterday, I wasn't expecting us to struggle either because we have two capable replacement in Capia and Mascara. So, shouldn't be any drop off. Calafiori could also play center back, and you could put in Capia at left back also. So, our Skelly. So we had a lot of options there. So I was never worried about our defense. And we played well. Defensively, we kept them out. They did nothing. Spurs did nothing yesterday. I didn't feel like they were going to score. The way they scored yesterday was us giving them an opportunity to score. But we'll talk about that too. Yeah, man. So the defense was strong, solid as usual. You know, um, kind of disappointed that we didn't keep a clean sheet yesterday. So, that kind of definitely pissed me off. We wanted a perfect record yesterday, and that didn't happen. So a lot of fans, including myself, was kind of pissed off about that. But that's we move. That's not a big deal, right? Um, Timber again yesterday, man. Performance was solid again, bro. This guy, he can't do any wrong, man. As soon as when you see him going into a tackle, he's gonna win it, bro. He's gonna. Very rarely he doesn't win a duel. You know what I'm saying? He's a solid player, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's just so consistent in his game too. And as a footballer, a lot of footballers struggle to have consistent performances. If you ever played the game at all, even as a player, I used to play, and you just want to have the same game every single time, but it doesn't happen, right? Consistency sometimes isn't your best friend as a player. And no matter how good you are, only few players you see go into a game and they'll give you the same performance, the same excitement. Players that comes to mind is like Ronaldinho, R9, players like that who every game I've seen them play, they're giving you at least 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying, consistently, because those are quality, exceptional players. Zidane, those are the players that I see day in, day out. Just they'll give you performances that are consistent every single time. Um, so and for Timberman, I see that in him all the time. He just gives you that solid performance every single time you watch him. And that's good for us, man. It's hard. It's going to be difficult for Ben White to get back into the squad, and I feel for Ben White because at one point he was our go-to right back. For us, he was our best right back, and we didn't think we would have a right back that was better than him. And now we have one that that's keeping him out of the team. So that says a lot on our recruitment. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, again, he was solid. Calafiori, again, solid performance. He's coming into himself, man. Like, he's becoming a really stellar left back. And I feel bad for Skelly again, bro, because they're keeping good players out of these positions. Last year Skelly was keeping him out, and now this season he's keeping Skelly out. So competition is crazy within this team and within every position. We have at least two players who are competing for the positions, and they're playing well in these positions, and they're keeping each other out. So that's what you want. You know, you want good rivalry within these positions, and that's what they're doing, right? They're battling for these positions, and they're keeping each other out. It's healthy competition, and that's what we need to perform at that level, at that elite level, as professionals, top players. We could say these players are heading in the direction of being world-class players. When we come into the midfield, you have Declan Rice, Zubimendi, right? These are players who are key to their national team setup. Internationally, these are top players. What's stopping Declan Rice from becoming a world class player? If not, some people will argue that he's already world class, right? Yeah, for me, man, it's easy. Declan Rice could easily be a world class player, but I think winning trophies also, right? Winning trophies at the club level does kind of put another sticker, another tick next to your name to kind of help you become that world class player. Winning something internationally also. The World Cup is coming up. We'll see how far he could assist in taking England um probably to their long awaited World Cup. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like most of the players that we have in our team right now aren't far from being world class players, if not already world class players, right? Zubimendi, right? He's one of the main men in the Spanish national team, and we have these players in our team. What I'm saying, we have these players playing in our club, so what's stopping us from being a championship team, winning the Champions League and winning the Prem? If we have these players. Declan Rice's performance yesterday, for another world class performance. If they're giving us world class performances, what's stopping them from being world class players, right? But we need to do this consistently again in every position. Zubimendi yesterday, unfortunately, um, his performance wasn't stellar. His mistake led to the goal. Some people want to blame Raya. I'm not blaming Raya for that, because that ball uh, should have been protected more. That ball should have been passed earlier. So that's all on Zubimendi. I really thought Raya was going to get to that to get to that ball, but he didn't. Um, and that's how we play. He's like that extra sweeper. So he gives them an option to play that ball back when they need that back pass. So that's how he plays. We play to every player's strength. If we're going to complain that we are not playing to Gyökeres's strength, when something like that happens to Raya, we can't complain, because that's his strength. That's how he plays, right? So we can't, it's on us to not give the ball away in a position like that to put him into a bad position, right? So we have to play to everybody's strength. And that yesterday was all on Zubimendi. All right. That ball should have been released earlier. All right. No need to be lax in that position. That's a key position, and that's all on him. But his performance yesterday wasn't great. Not saying he had a bad day, but compared to how we've seen him um, in games prior, that yesterday was just not a good performance for him. Um, let's go to Starboy, man. I'm gonna leave Eze for last, but let's talk about Starboy. I don't know. A lot of people, they don't want to talk about soccer too much, right? They don't want to mention anything negative about soccer, but soccer, is he I don't know, is he hitting a ceiling right now? I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing it differently, but I'm comparing him to top wingers, right? Um, it doesn't matter if you're getting doubled up, right? If you're getting double teamed or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're a winger of quality, you have to figure out how to manipulate that, how to get out of that situation if you're being doubled up. Um, and I see that a lot. Like he gets doubled up a lot, right? Once soccer gets the ball, they kind of go out there and they double team him. So it's difficult for him to kind of do his thing. But you could argue, right, as a top winger, would you say that he needs to figure out how to get past that? I think his performance yesterday for me was average. And when it comes to Saka, you don't want to see average performances from him, right? And we could argue that he's still effective, right? He still gives you that average 7 out of 10, which is still good. But we want to see him go up a level in every game. And yes, he's coming back from a lot of injuries. He had that big injury last season and an injury early this season on the other hamstring. So you could definitely argue that and say that he's coming back into, finding himself and getting fit again. Um, but I personally, for me, I kind of need to see more from Saka. And I'm not trying to downplay his value to the team. He's very important. When he's on the field, we see a difference. Don't get me wrong, but I think we still need to see more from Saka. And there's more to come. It's still early. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just analyzing his gameplay yesterday, right? And I guess he's one of the players that really didn't give me a lot yesterday. If I'm gonna nitpick, right? You know, but again, still a good performance. But I just want to see a little bit more. I mean, fans may disagree with me, but that's just my opinion on it. Personally speaking, um, I felt like he could have given us more yesterday in terms of creating more chances and just looking dangerous. Um, but yeah, that's it. But Trossard, man, compared to how Trossard played yesterday, listen, it's weird to think that we wanted that player out of the club. Like a lot of fans were saying, sell Trossard and keep Martinelli. What are we saying now? What are we really saying now? Because Trossard has been one of the most consistent player within this team. You know what I'm saying? We could argue that all day, but that's what I see. That's what I believe. Like, look at his numbers. You know what I'm saying? His assist numbers, his goal. You know what I'm saying? His goals, the goals that he's scoring. Like, he's been one of the team's most consistent players. You know what I'm saying? So it's ridiculous even now to think that we wanted him out. You know what I'm saying? His performance has been stellar and consistent. Not a lot of players could say that. Consistency is key. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the season for every player, for you to stay fit and for you to perform, right? You have to perform at that consistent level. And he's been doing that to be fair. You know what I'm saying? So that's good and it's bad because if he continues performing like this, they may not go into the market January to get a left winger because you have Maddie Nani Madueke back and Martinelli's back, right? And Trossard is playing the way he's playing. So, I'm calling it right now. If it continues, I don't think they're going to go into the market to get any left winger because they're kind of stacked right now. I'm saying Martinelli's also an impact player. When he comes on, he'll probably give you a goal or cause some type of issues and create some chances. So, you know, I'm not mad at it, bro. If it's working, let's continue to have it. Just let's keep it. If it's working, what I'm saying, he's giving the performances that we need, as a club, in order to win games. Can't be mad at that, bro. It might not be the player that you want. We want probably a dynamic player, a player who's experienced in winning things. People are talking about Rodrigo. But is Rodrigo good enough for the league? Some people say Liao. He's strong. He's a winner with AC Milan. even with Portugal, you know what I'm saying? So they have that winning mentality. Um, but are they going to come into this league and perform? Right? You've seen many players perform overseas, but once they come to the EPL, bro, it's a whole different beast. It humbles you quickly, bro. We've seen that with many, many players come into this league. And you think they're gonna start this league up, bro, and nothing, bro. I'm telling you, duds. You know what I'm saying? I remember Shevchenko when he came to Chelsea, bro. That man was banging in goals in Serie A, bro. And he came to the freaking league, bro, and he was humbled quick. So it's not for everybody, bro. You know what I'm saying? The Prem is not for everybody. So, what we have right now is working. Let's keep using it until the end of the season, until the season ends, and see where that brings us. All right, let's talk about Marino. Listen, Marino played a good pass yesterday to Trossard, bro. Really good pass. I thought he was prime Messi. But the problem I have in Marino, bro, he's just for a big dude, and it sounds simple. Like this complaint that I have right now may sound, really simple, but he just falls down too much. Like, why can't he be stronger on the ball? Every single time he gets touched, bro, this man falls to the ground. I don't understand why. Like for a big dude, bro, be stronger. It frustrates me. Like I just can't see anything else except that. I'm like every time a tackle comes in on this dude, bro, he just falls down. You know what I'm saying? And it just annoys the hell out of me. And his positioning sometimes. I get it. He's not a striker, bro. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I get he's not a striker, but as a player, as a midfielder, you have to be stronger because that's what he is. He's a midfielder. And in the midfield, you cannot be weak in the midfield. You got to be strong. And for some reason, man, this guy just keeps, falling down. I just don't get it. I don't like it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's my issue with Marino. But overall, um, you know, he did what he was asked to do yesterday. He played a role, you know what I'm saying? Um, Provided an opportunity, created a chance, and Trossard scored. Um, so he had an average game for me, but it's just, I mean, I can't judge him too harshly because he's not a striker, right? He's not a striker. He doesn't understand how to play that role. He's just filling in a position, so I won't be too harsh on him. But he just needs to be stronger, bro. Let's finish off with Eberichi Eze, bro. Eberichi Eze yesterday. What? Oh my God! What a performance from this guy, man. To think that we probably would have been defending him yesterday against Spurs because he could have easily signed for Spurs. You know what I'm saying? And to have him yesterday in that lineup, bro, and have him scoring 3 goals, bro, sublime. We could never ask for anything better than that. What a way to repay, the manager yesterday. You know what I'm saying? 3 goals against Spurs, bro, in a North London derby. His first North London derby. Says a lot about the guy, man. Says a lot about Eberichi Eze. And all we ask is just for him to continue giving us that performance, consistent performance. I know it's not easy to be consistent, but if he could give us at least half of what he gave us yesterday, it's a good chance that we could win the league and win many other trophies this season, many other titles this season. Wonderful performance. His confidence yesterday, his intelligence, his finishing. Oh my God, the way he slot left foot, right foot, you know what I'm saying? Bottom corner, side netting, it was just sublime. The intelligence of this guy. You wonder why he wasn't acquired earlier. He's 27 now, but he's been balling for a while in the Prem. You know what I'm saying? He was balling at Newcastle for a while. So you wonder why it took so long for, not just Arsenal, but many other teams to kind of, you know, get their hands on this player. And everything happens for a reason. If you believe in that sort of stuff, everything takes its time and happens for a reason. But maybe this is the right time for him. Maybe maturity, right? His maturity right now is where it's supposed to be. So this is his time, and he's taking his chance as well. Um, you know, he said he prayed for this yesterday, and he has his first hat trick in a North London derby of any Arsenal player in what 50 something years. So, that's something to actually celebrate. And we're gonna probably be talking about this for a while, unless the next game coming up against Bayern Munich kind of quiets everybody and kills the moment. And that's what Arsenal. That's what we do, right? We have a big moment, and then we just write off the next game. we just ruin it. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully next game against Bayern Munich, we're able to get the job done and get it over the line. But I appreciate everybody for stopping by. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I appreciate each and every one of you. This is a journey, man. This is a journey for me personally. I mean, I just started this whole YouTube thing, so I'm still learning as I'm going by, and whatever criticism you guys have, feel free to be respectful, put it in the comments, and let's discuss it, how we could have a community, how we can have a discussion. Because I love this club, Arsenal. I got a chance to go watch them in the Emirates last year, when they played Manchester City. That was my first time going to the Emirates and watching my club play, and they destroyed Manchester City. It's one of the best gifts I could ever ask for. It actually was my birthday. So it was my first time going to England and my first time seeing Arsenal play in the Emirates. And trust me, I was not disappointed. We slapped them 5, so I love this club, and I just want to have a community, have discussion, just build a nice little, nice little community here with all the fans, and let's just talk about Arsenal, man. I'm not looking to make any money out of this. I just want us to come together as a community and just have healthy discussion about our club and enjoy where we are now, as it relates to the title chase. So I appreciate you guys again. Thanks for stopping by. And go ahead, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you soon. Peace.